all of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. All lies will be exposed.
January 3rd, 2024. Katt Williams arrives on the set of Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Club Shay Shay, with a determined and knowing look on his face, as he has agreed to a tell-all interview to share his life, career, and insights on the entertainment industry. But by the end of the nearly 3-hour conversation and over 42 million views in the first week, it was clear that this was no regular interview. Katt had lit the world on fire, including his contemporaries, and was ready to watch it burn.
He did 4 comedy specials. They're so bad, Shannon, they're not available on Netflix or Tubi. I put in my contract that I won't work with Ricky Smiley again unless he's in a dress. I only put on comedians that are funnier than me. Anybody that ever told you differently was a fat Faison liar. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good over KB and look like Mr. Potato Head. I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
And whether he was a modern-day prophet or a very unreliable narrator didn't matter. This successful and beloved comedian had effectively called out something about the new year.
Katt Williams said that 2024 was going to be the year of the truth. I said amen.
2024, girl, you can't get away with them lies no more.
I believe that this year, 2024, is going to be the year of truth.
You guys want to know how I'm certain that 2024 is the year of divine truth over lies?
It's the year of truth, man. Katt Williams already declared this.
Katt Williams' infamous words marking 2024 as the year of truth had everyone in a chokehold. Not even a full 6 months into the year, and the overabundance of scandals, crime, deviancy, and everyone spilling tea like this is Alice in Wonderland cannot be overstated. The rabbit hole is getting deeper and deeper in what appears to be a year of gossip, rumor, and dark souls coming to light.
A lawsuit filed against Sean Diddy Combs accuses the music performer and executive of rape, physical abuse, and sex trafficking. The singer Cassie says the incidents occurred throughout her 10-year relationship with Combs.
T.D. Jake's name is mentioned in this lawsuit, and thankfully he's not implicated in any of the nefarious activities. But the very fact that his name is mentioned in this lawsuit is problematic in and of itself.
Y'all looking at me like you my physician trying to see if I'm good. I'm good. You can't do this 50 years and ain't been in a fight, ain't been in a storm, ain't been up under attack. I'm fine. Worst that could happen if everything was true, all I got to do is repent sincerely from my heart. There's enough power in the blood to cover all kinds of sins. I don't care what it is, the blood would fix it. But I ain't got to repent about this. All I got to do is step over top of it and keep on going on. Glory to God, I'm not in trouble.
Every day, there's a new truth being told that's supposedly setting us free. But the rumor mill that used to be mining Black Twitter gold is now a scary indication of what different truths actually look like in action. Absolute chaos.
He starts the conference by taking his shirt off and then climbing a stripping pole.
But the Jezebel spirit has already been here. And then he swallowed a sword, and Jesus cried, okay, Pastor John, I'll receive that. Thank you.
Walk it out. Hey, now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out.
150 people got saved. What? How many people got saved at your church Sunday night? If you can't out soul win me, shut your mouth. Okay?
What happens when so-called truth tellers become popular, widely marketable, and oversaturated? How does media messaging change when vulnerability is weaponized and keeping it real never goes wrong?
You want a little soft shoe? Should I jug some watermelon for you, boy? All that, Rick.
Hey, Vernon, buddy.
Get your hands off me, front.
Welcome to the year of truth and the desperation of being relevant. You know what's really crazy? I think I miss cancel culture. The good old days where we were chasing Karens away from cookouts and roasting the Kardashians for cornrows. I find myself really nostalgic for times when it was easy to tell one side from the other. Sometimes in our culture, we really fight against the binary, right? There's no such thing as black or white. Everything is gray. But when you throw all your clothes into the wash at the same time without the sensitivity to what's on the label and the temperature of the water, you're bound to mess up some of your favorite fits. The heightened sensitivity to comb through elements and sift through ideas to get to the root so you can discern properly, that is something that I miss. Because now we live in a time where the truth shall set you free is not about being liberated. It's not even about you being free. It's about them, the people who wronged you, the people who deserve their comeuppance for being bad at business or bad at PR, or for actually operating in Epstein levels of darkness and demonic activity.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016.
Hey, editing Tiffany here, and I just wanted to jump in really early in this video already because I just wanted to be very clear that I am not speaking about the year of truth in any negative way when we talk about uncovering predators and uncovering villains, monsters like Diddy, and the things that I've seen this past week with the revelation, the videos that are coming out around his abuse. That is not what we're talking about in this video. It makes me sick to my stomach, if I'm honest. And it's hard not to talk about it without being upset, but this video is more specifically geared towards the culture, the consumer, the non-celebrities, our responses to what's going on in this year. Okay, back to the video. Nobody is denying that we are living in unprecedented times of deceit, manipulation, and desperation. This video is for anyone who might be feeling like that conspiracy is brewing. But before you get your tinfoil hat fitted, I'm going to limit this conversation to 3 examples I'm seeing in entertainment. We'll start with a little-known music beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. The rap beef of the century is what they're calling it, with Aubrey Graham, aka Drake, as a top 40 hits underdog and Pulitzer Prize-winning reincarnated Tupac, Kendrick Lamar. And because I am not delulu enough to think I can possibly understand and explain all the nuances of this beef, I did beg my husband, who's a producer and MC, to explain what was happening in real time. Here is a quick recap version of what this beef was. Kendrick calls out Drake in the Big Sean song Control, which starts him and Drake mildly dissing each other over the years.
Does it make you like not want to collab with him?
I'm really just focused on me and OVO and my side of things. I'm not really like into doing like a record with him now.
J. Cole raps on First Person Shooter about himself, Kendrick, and Drake being the big 3. Kendrick spits back at J. Cole, saying it's just Big Me on his song Like That. J. Cole releases 7-minute drill aimed at Kendrick, but 2 days later apologizes and pulls it from all streaming platforms.
I want to say right now tonight, how many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest to ever touch a
Drake drops diss song Push-Ups to insult Lamar. Drake follows up with an AI diss track using both Tupac and Snoop Dogg's voices on tailor-made freestyle. Kenny drops Euphoria, which disses Drake's entire personhood, including his rap skills, racial identity, parenting. He just came for this man's whole neck and did not let up. Lamar then follows up with a second track, 616 in LA, where he continues his assault on Drake's friends, who he says were feeding him info. Drake drops Family Matters, accusing Ken of being a deadbeat dad and a wife beater. Less than an hour later, Kendrick drops Meet the Grahams, which is a chilling direct address to Drizzy's whole family, and alleges he has a secret daughter. Lamar then drops the club banger Not Like Us, alleging Drake is fond of children, and not in the fatherly way.
Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor.
Drake seemingly waves the white flag on the Heart Part 6, saying that he fed Kendrick false info and denying claims that he's a PDF file. With abuse and trafficking allegations that were being slung around, it very quickly moved from a beef of lyrical wits to a beef grilled at the R. Kelly barbecue.
People made a 6-part documentary about me. 6. That's almost 10. And not one of them said a nice thing about me. They made it seem like I was the devil. I'm not the devil. And even if I was, you can't think of one nice thing to say about the devil?
And though many claims are still unproven, many people were wondering if this is what it was like to watch Tupac and Biggie during the East Coast-West Coast feud in the 90s. Now, in terms of who won the beef, I think that's obvious. But what is intriguing to watch is how everybody reacts to this and just how captivated we all were, like pandemic levels of held hostage by the internet.
They are two of the biggest names in hip hop, Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and they've been locked in a rap battle that's capturing global attention and having a big impact on the music industry. Their feud has touched on weighty themes, from racial identity to their authenticity as artists to the treatment of women and minors, with some serious allegations about underage relationships and domestic abuse.
Naming and shaming is a form of public shaming that involves saying out loud that a person, group, or business has done something wrong. It's a popular policy tool that's used to influence human rights practices and encourage governments or organizations to comply with the demands of others. But it has been more recently used for tarnishing the reputation of individuals in our marketplace, known as social media. And when I think about what K-Dot did with each diss song upping the ante towards his rival in Drizzy, levying criticism on his career, his character, and his morality, people were there for the rumors, but they stayed for the destruction.
But the world want to see blood. I don't know if y'all can feel that, but the world want to see blood.
Naming and shaming has become this generation's version of Whose Line Is It Anyway? You know, the improv game where everything is made up and the points don't matter.
Welcome to Whose Line Is It Anyway? The show where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
In battle rap or ciphers, no one's fact-checking your roasts because no one's hanging on every single word that an MC says as truth. But in this case, the accusations were so serious and dark and disturbing. It kind of took all the fun out of the war of words. It was more like, if these things are true, what have we to celebrate in a winner? What was this Quasimodo-style ridicule of the rich and petty, and what happens if we choose the losing side? Even now, this video that you're currently watching is probably outdated if some of the grotesque stuff that was alleged in those diss tracks goes from alleged to proven. And you're probably like, Tiff, this is not revelatory. It's just a rap beef. Well, no, it's not. I mean, yes, it is a rap beef, but what is profound is our connection to this.
What?
What am I trying to say? Okay, invested in cool hip hop moment? Yay! Invested in artists making music we've been waiting for? Yes. Invested in public annihilation, naming and shaming, and condemning folks to die? Maybe no. Allowing our collective anger to find its scapegoat in flawed individual number 1 or flawed individual number 2? No. Of course we enjoyed everything that was going on, even though folks getting shot, it's not proven that it has anything to do with this beef. But is it possible, and really I'm asking myself this as I read far too many Reddit threads about this beef, is it possible that our desire for public flogging has become an appetite that's never satisfied? The ancient practice of stoning folks to death, throwing our pariahs to the den of lions, is this our way of avoiding self-accountability and creating our own reality TV with these falls from grace? And I'm not even really talking about the rap beef of the century anymore. That was just a segue. What I want to discuss is how our world is simultaneously asking for safe spaces, and yet those spaces are only exclusive to those that are most well-liked or popular at the time. Now all of a sudden truth tellers are in vogue and keeping it real never goes wrong.
The reason I had to come is because you made a safe place for the truth to be told.
The book of James says that everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And I'm still working on that one, but apparently I'm in good company because Shannon Sharpe's insanely popular podcast, Club Shay Shay, has become the place to be for celebrities, media personalities, and Black Hollywood. Y'all already know how I feel about Black Hollywood. But all jokes aside, Katt Williams' predictions for Club Shay Shay to be the throne room for truth tellers has seemingly come true. His recent interviews with Monique, Terry Crews, Amanda Seales, Gary Owen, and Kel Mitchell have not only poured in massive views, but they've also revealed a key feature of Shannon's interviews. The guests tell their truth and spill more tea than the Boston Tea Party in 1773. Anyone else love history? Anyone? Is this thing on?
Canceled.
The tea spilling business is lucrative. And don't get me wrong, this is far from the first platform to make airing dirty laundry a business model. And Shannon is spotlighting mostly Black entertainers, which is very niche and gives an inside look into these folks who we don't get to see their stories too often. But the challenge with Shannon's affable nature and non-journalistic style is that he's easily racking up views on conversations that are unfiltered and unchallenged.
Shannon is not a journalist. I never said I was a journalist.
Right.
If you listen in my intro, I said the person that's coming by for conversation and a drink, I'm a conversationalist, not an interviewer. If you want 60 minutes, if you want Dateline, if you want 48 Hours, I'm not the place for you.
It's meant to be entertaining and conversational, so it's not his job to necessarily micromanage his guests. But many complaints towards Shannon is that he doesn't know how to follow up on threads or ask questions in a streamlined way. So these interviews going on for 3 hours is commonplace. But my critique is a little bit different. If naming and shaming is an easy way to get compliance or otherwise manipulate people into responding, like diss tracks, then Club Shay Shay is the worst kind of cipher. We aren't combing through every POV to get the average of its parts. The culture is lazy. We don't even look deeply into the facts of a story anymore before we ride for whoever is the most likable. Or the most loud. I saw a version of this with the Amanda Seales podcast. She gets on there and says she's been held back from Hollywood and opportunities, black media. And people in the comments were gassing her up because she's intelligent, she's talented. She also says that she's delightful and people like her. And then she says that people dislike her for no reason, calling her a mean girl on the set of Insecure.
I mean, I had a little rail, and he says that Issa is like most of her set is with women, camera people, et cetera, and that she's very empowering to women.
Oh, I disagree. She wasn't empowering to me. She didn't feel like she didn't feel like I deserved to be protected. I'm only giving I'm only giving a portion of the situations. Yeah. So, but that was my experience. Okay. And nonetheless, I have still always protected her because I felt like it was my responsibility to do so, but it is not.
And I'm really interested in critical thinking and messaging and not taking anything at face value. But the message from these interviews is clear. Your truth is only as good as the secrets you expose, the people you throw under the bus. And exposing secrets keeps you relevant. It gets your name trending on Twitter. It reminds people that you're not afraid to speak your truth, and it calls out anyone who's ever wronged you. Going back to this desperate to be relevant piece, what I see, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, what I see is a great fear from celebrities of falling out of favor with the public. There's a squeezing tight to their visibility so that A, they don't lose money, and B, they don't lose interest, which I can understand to a degree. The whole idea of being a celebrity is an idea of public interest. People have to care about you or what you do to bring the audience, the buyers, the followers, etc. So you used to be able to conjure up that interest with your talent, maybe even upcoming projects. But now it's just controversy.
Here's the thing about Monique though, you're allowed to be made fun of.
Right.
We're comedians. I snapped a little bit years ago because not over the Tyler Perry or the Oprah stuff, because she basically compared Will Packer, who's a friend and a guy that employed me and a guy that helped take my career to another level.
Right.
She compared him to Harvey Weinstein.
Huh?
Yeah, she goes, just like these girls got to be quiet and stuff like this. It was like his name was in the same sentence as Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. And I go, and nobody said anything. I go, I'm going to stand up for my boy real quick.
Building a career or even a whole life that has fallen apart, been broken apart by unsavory characters is now rife with opportunity. You can get a whole agent just by sharing your nightmare adventures online.
Well, at this point, pretty much everybody has heard about the viral 50-part TikTok story called Who the Bleep Did I Marry, told by Risa Tisa. And apparently the Hollywood agents at CAA loved it so much that they hired her as a client.
This all checks out when we look at our society. And things done in the dark are not just coming to light, they're being dragged into the sun. And in many ways, the feeling of it's about time when victims confront their predators and bullies is palpable. We can breathe a sigh of relief because finally, that person gets to be justified. Justification, though, is usually not a quick process. Being proven right or not guilty often comes with the passage of time. Wait and see is a virtue that many of us don't afford because we have to be vindicated right just now. And the thing we have to ask ourselves behind all of this is light actually exposing darkness, or is darkness perpetrating as light?
It's a difficult position because somebody's not going to tell the truth. And the truth has got to be told. In all circumstances, the truth has got to be told.
Club Shay Shay, as our previous example, is a safe space for the tellers of truth, the messiest of the mess to be shared freely and without filter. Light, however, illuminates everything that's right. Nothing can hide. Light shows us what's true, but the light of keeping it real just feels like lies. It feels like a turn of phrase. What can I get away with saying that will show me in the most favorable light?
I'm in amazing shape, I'm handsome, athletic, and I can hold my breath for 27 years. Matter of fact, I'll race you right now.
Now, how you gonna do that, Kat?
Come on, let's race right now. See? I just beat you.
My hopefully constructive criticism of the Year of Truth is that it's really a masterclass in pride. And I'm not talking about being proud of oneself. I'm talking about arrogance, this haughty attitude that causes someone to have an inflated view of themselves. Like pride comes before the fall, that one. My current struggle with pride is one that often couches itself in seeing me above a failure that someone else might fall into. Like when I think about addiction, I had to realize that I have not struggled with addiction, not because I am so good and so perfectly above addiction, but because by God's grace, I haven't had the right toxic life recipe that has caused me to seek that out and fall into its clutches. I certainly could have. I just haven't gone that way. But it's way easier to do when you've fallen into despair, you've suffered loss, you have immense trauma or a history of addiction in your family. So I'm very much trying to be intentional to practice a moment by moment empathy, meaning as soon as I have the thought of, that would never happen to me, how could they do that? Or I would never do X, Y, and Z. Basically, anytime never comes into my head, I have to stop myself and remember that I am human and I am susceptible to so much. And I think about what struggles I have that are akin to that. So for example, when we look at the controversial year that Jonathan Majors has had, child, I could do a whole video on this, but being in and out of courts and ultimately guilty of a misdemeanor assault and harassment against former girlfriend Grace Jabari, my initial reaction was just SMH, like shaking my head. I thought, how could someone with so much talent and promise fall into the trappings of most celebrities with a toxic relationship and psychological damage? And I had to rewind that thought because I've never experienced the level of pressure, scrutiny, or even abusive relationship that the two of them found themselves in. I imagine many of us haven't. So practicing that empathy, we got to realize that without character, accountability, a good community, we might but just be capable of unspeakable acts. And I'd be remiss to pretend that I know exactly what happened with that case just because Megan Good, was standing next to Jonathan, in the courtroom.
With acclaim for his dramatic performances and a promising future as a Marvel villain. But now actor Jonathan Majors is facing the possibility of up to a year in jail after a conviction on misdemeanor reckless assault and harassment in connection with an altercation involving his then girlfriend.
What I saw in his ABC News interview was very telling for the PR attempts at saving his reputation. And I should preface this by saying that my skepticism of the interview, whether it was truthful or not, is in part because of who was conducting it. ABC is owned by Disney, who had him fired from the role of Kang in the upcoming Marvel movies. So it felt like they were doing some cleanup and partly trying to gauge the public's reaction to his story to see if they could regain the public favor, recoup some guap, but it was a terrible move. Not because I don't think he deserved to tell his story, but it just lacked any real sense of accountability for the changes and the charges that he was convicted of. He just didn't seem that present with the questions.
Your reaction to that verdict?
Shock. I was absolutely shocked and afraid. I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible? Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence. How is that possible?
The prosecution has described your relationship with Grace Jabari as tumultuous and abusive. How would you describe that to your relationship?
I loved Grace. Our relationship was, it was not healthy, and that began to reveal itself over time, but there was no abuse.
What's interesting about the jury's verdict, it's so nuanced because they're saying you didn't intend to injure her, but the result of your recklessness injured her. Were you reckless?
I was reckless with her heart.
Not with her body.
Not with her body.
Remorseful, sure, but honest, authentic, not spinning a story, yeesh. I don't want to speculate too much on the legitimacy of the interview, but I can confidently say that the Year of Truth caught him in that wave unexpectedly. And the opposite of pride, Mr. MLK, is humility. Humility is what allows us to see our shortcomings holistically, rather than white-knuckling our way through judgment and pressure because we're right. That's what I'm saying about all of this. The Drake v. Kendrick, the Club Shay Shay interviews, the Jonathan Majors. there's still a lot of pride swirling around. And of course, there are lots of other examples in pop culture right now that I'm not going to get into, but there's something to be said when a rising talent is falling from grace on the way up. That double direction, sometimes we take ourselves down. And we can't always blame other people or the powers that be if we make choices that expose us. I am of the firm belief that we get multiple chances to be humbled in private before it goes public. We get multiple chances to apologize, to say sorry, to back off from something before it turns into a massive firestorm. And I consider this for my own channel as well. I'm very much interested in combing through the nuance of media messaging, the conversations, and trying to see it from all angles, and then form an opinion. You know, I'll call out certain people, really filmmakers, artisans, and I've called them up to a higher standard. I'm not just interested in naming and shaming. I actually want to affect change, not just expose someone for clout. Take J. Cole. He made probably the wisest decision of his career to bow out of the rap beef ASAP. He was humble enough to take the ridicule of the culture about not wanting to participate in the rap beef. And now we see that he is a wise man. But Jonathan, he made some very unwise decisions that landed him on the worst side. I imagine that he will bounce back, and if so, I pray that he truly goes through his counseling and recovery with a changed heart and mind, that this stain on his career and life is actually a grace over him, no pun intended, and that turns him around rather than drive him further into despair. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on Club Shay Shay by the end of the year. Matter of fact, BBL Drizzy might be right next to him. The year of truth, where truth tellers can say whatever they want and the consequences are validation. Except we got to remember that real, actual truth tellers are not popular. They rarely are loved and adored by everyone because prophets are not marketable. In fact, they used to be killed back in biblical days because people didn't like what they were saying. And for now, the times keep you swinging back and forth between memes and podcasts, but don't take your cues from pop culture. Leave the petty to the professionals and try to humble yourself in this year. That's what I'm going to do. This could be the year where you and I take a J. Cole approach. We step away from the mess, we pick some flowers, we enjoy some fresh squeezed berries, and we mind our business. You ain't got to expose secrets to be relevant. You don't have to be desperate for anybody's validation. You could very well just keep your mind on things above and leave behind your unnatural allegiance to losers. That's not like you.
You know what's so amazing about our society is that we, just humanity in general, we love a lie. We prefer the lie over the truth. We will crucify the truth teller because the truth teller is too hard to bear. And we watch this over and over again. I mean, we prefer an illusion. I am so grateful for the truth tellers, the ones that don't have nothing to lose, that gonna come out and say what they need to say. I'm one of them. I don't have nothing to lose. I don't need an approval from man. I don't care about no worldly success. I thank God for making me a truth teller.
This is a video essay about the year of truth and some of my personal musings. This is by no way considered a finished video. So feel free to tell me what you think. What is the year of truth? Let me know in the comments below. I also have to shout out my Patreon subscribers, the movie club. Thank y'all so much for the support. We recently started that movie club where we watch movies together and discuss. So if you want to participate in that, make sure you sign up for the Patreon with the link in the description below. And subscribe, like this video. It costs you nothing, but it means everything to me. And I really appreciate it. So I love y'all and I will see you next time. Bye now.